Irina, once again, you come here laughing and smiling and being super happy. This was a pretty good game, but it wasn't easy because she surprised you early on with this idea of e4 giving up the pawn. She was piling on the pressure on you early on. Did you feel that way?
She did say in her interview yesterday that she was going to rethink her match strategy, and she definitely came with something different today. I was really, really surprised in the opening because basically, let's put a few moves on the board. Yeah, this move e4. I mean, I'm a Sicilian player as black. And you think, like, if you saw something like, you know, e4, c5, knight f3, knight c6, and you played knight f6, you got an extra move as black. Would white ever go e5? I mean, you don't see that, you know? So, I mean, of course, at first I thought, I was like, is she just confusing things? Because I don't even think I've ever played knight f3 before.
Yeah.
It's quite interesting that she had this preparation in a line that she really couldn't have even expected for me, right? I think
perhaps it was prep for some other player or some other game.
I mean, my guess would be it's prep for me, you know. It's an interesting choice, you know, because the thing is, of course, it was very uncomfortable for me to be like surprised in the opening, have her playing instantly. And I was quite slow in just trying to understand the idea.
Yeah.
Right? I was like, well, I haven't made any mistakes. So like here black goes sacrificing the pawn. How is this going to work out?
Let's pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you think about where your knight should go. I mean, should you go to c3 or g3? But ultimately, yeah, I didn't want to let the pawn get to d4 with tempo.
How did you come up to the conclusion that you have to give this check, or that you want to give this check?
Well, my first instinct, I mean, I guess from a while back, I was thinking it probably knight e2, but then I was ultimately like, you know, I really should be developing my pieces, and I didn't see, you know, why not develop that bishop? And I mean, it did cause her to think. It's interesting, maybe.
Because it's supposedly not a good move by the engine, like it gives black already an advantage.
Does it? But you know, that's the thing though, it's impossible. I understood this.
Yes.
Like I understood there's positions in chess like where the computer will say, oh, it's great for black, but the computer's idea of compensation and initiative is not a human's.
Exactly.
And if a human cannot find these moves, it doesn't matter, you know? So, and that was my feeling, was like, oh, okay, so now she's out of her preparation, you know, and there's so many choices for black, right? Like there's, should you drive the pawn into h3? Should you go a6? Yes, bishop d6, which queen g5? I mean, so many moves, right? I mean, I think in this situation, you know, the computer evaluation at home doesn't help black so much.
And she went astray very quickly after with the move bishop to d6, castle, and now you're already better.
Yeah, here I played, what was it, f3? Yeah, I mean, d4, castles, queenside. I guess this is the critical moment, right, if we go back. The question is, can I get, after castles, queenside, can I get in the move e4? And, you know, ultimately, I just felt like it was too loose, you know. And, you know, there is some crazy move h3. I don't really know what's going on with h3, e5. Okay, knight e5. Okay, well, I'm not surprised. It is pretty crazy, crazy position. But even if she goes, like, without h3, if she goes, like, pawn takes pawn, queen e7, like, even this, I really wasn't very sure about. I mean, just because the pawns are hanging in the center.
Yeah.
It feels like you're using your extra pawn, but actually you're also creating play for black on the d file, lots of tactics, lots of files, diagonals. So I mean, okay, I'm glad to see that the computer agreed that I shouldn't go for this because I was certainly thinking about it.
Bishop d2 was definitely the right choice in the position. Just slowly build up your attack. And I really like the fact that you let your knight stay on e2.
Yeah.
Don't go to c3 because you're probably going to have to come back after the move g5. You anticipated this move g5.
Well, let me tell you,
offense.
actually, when she played bishop c7, I was a bit unhappy. Like, I'd already kind of seen this idea, but I was like, oh, now she is going to force me to play f4, like this anti-positional move. I'm going to have this bad dark squared bishop. So I was definitely concerned when I saw bishop c7. But ultimately, okay, like, you know, I blocked the bishop with f4.
Yes.
And I still have this extra pawn. She cannot trade the light squared bishops yet. There's play against her king as well. So it felt, okay, like not a disaster, let's say, to have the pawn at f4.
I think at this point you were already kind of cruising.
Yeah, so she decided to play very bravely, giving up that, well, I don't know who's brave. It's me taking it or her and giving it up. But, like, you know, she gave up this pawn on d5. And
it just wasn't enough.
Yeah. Oh no, that wasn't our game, Christian.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Rook to g6 at this point.
Yeah, yeah. I'd have to be a little bit careful here. Oh, there were a lot of like ways I could go wrong. Can I just show you one of them?
Sure.
Like, I mean, her whole trick is that if I go, like, say, a move back, 2 moves back with the pawn still on A2, B2, if I go D5, right, like knight E5.
Yes.
I mean, that's a big trick in the position, and you definitely don't want to fall for that, because I guess you guys maybe looked at things like that, but I mean, I actually get myself mated, very sad. So,
a checkmate.
you know, D5 was like my main idea, but then there was this big obstacle in playing it, so I had to like completely reorient myself and find like a different plan, which I guess was pretty decent.
Which you did. It was, in fact, the best way forward. Now, you're facing her again tomorrow with the black pieces. All you need is a draw to get the title.
Yeah.
How do you feel about your chances? What are you going to do? Are you going to do anything differently?
Yeah, well, I think I will just play my game and play the same way I've been playing all my games. And, you know, hopefully that's going to be good enough.
Congratulations, Irina. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Our congratulations as well, Irina, as she continues her